Lesson 3.4, solving equations using multiplication and division. So pretty much the same thing we did in the last lesson, except for instead of adding and subtracting to solve equations, we're multiplying and dividing. So it won't be that much of a learning curve for you to understand it. Okay, so the essential question is, how can you use multiplication or division to solve equations? And here's some notes on it. So the key idea is, if you multiply each side of an equation by a number, it produces an equivalent equation, which is like the same thing we did with adding and subtracting. If we added c to both sides, they're the same. Now if we multiply c to both sides, it's going to be the same. And that's the same with division. If we divide each side of an equation by the same number, produces an equivalent equation. So just write that down. Okay. So this says to solve x divided by 3, and that equals -6. So what do we do when we had let's see, x minus 3 equals -6 or something like that. We plus 3 to both sides because this is the opposite of that, plus 3, and that would give us the answer. So we had to do the opposite of subtraction to get rid of it. So we have to do the opposite of division to get rid of it, okay? So I'm just going to rewrite the problem so I have a little more space. So I'm going to multiply, because this is a division problem. So multiply, this is going to cancel, and then multiply by 3 over here. So x equals -6 times 3, which is -18. And that's our answer. Okay, and then this one, we're going to have to solve for y over here, and it's a multiplication problem. So the opposite of that is to divide, and then you have to do it to this side. So this gets rid of that. Our y is finally alone. And then, so this isn't a perfect, it's going to be a decimal. And our answer is -4.5 equals y, because that's a positive divided by a negative, and that gives us a negative. Okay. Let's see. First, rewrite with negative sign in numerator. So what is kind of always the case is that they put this negative right in the middle, and usually mathematicians always put it to the top. Okay, so we're just going to put it to the top too. We're going to put it in the numerator. It just makes our lives easier if we're consistent with where we put the negative, but it won't make a difference in your answer if you decide, hey, I want it right there. But yeah, in general, we will just put it right there. And so I want to get rid of this. And when we had this problem, I multiplied by 3 over here. So this one, because it will cancel, I'm going to want to multiply, and I'm going to do that in a different color to get rid of it. Multiply, because this is like a division problem because it has a fraction. So I'm going to multiply by 5, which is the reciprocal, over -4. Okay? So that crosses that out, that crosses that out. So we're good. We have x all by itself. And then over here, 5 divided by -4. And I can put this over 1 to make my life seem easier, but simplify before multiply. This turns into a +2, and that gets into 1. So that is 10 over 1, which just x equals, and then so that just means that x equals 10. Okay, and this one's very similar to the one that we just did, but these ones are going to want us to check our solution, and you will see that if you get like -14 equals -14, then we did the problem right. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 2. Oops, 2. Those cancel. And then so I have to do that over here. 3 over 2 is 1. Simplify before multiply. That turns into a 1. This turns into a -7. So I have -21 equals over 1 equals x, or just -21 equals x. Okay, and then so now I'm going to check that. I'm going to erase everything first so I can see better. I'll keep the answer though. Oops, I just erased it. Okay, 21. So I'm going to have negative 14 equals 2/3 times negative 21. So if I actually so that's going to be 14 equals 2 times negative 21 is negative 42 over 3, which gives me negative 14 equals negative 14, which is a true statement, so we did it right. Okay? Okay, and then with this one, it's very similar, but first let's put this negative up there, okay? And then, so that's negative 8 over 5, and then to get rid of it, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, that's b, and then that equals 5 times that reciprocal, which is 5 over negative 8, okay? So that crosses out, we have b equals 5 times 5 is 25 over negative 8. So that is our answer, because that's like in simplest improper form. Okay, and I'm going to erase this so I can see. Oops, way too small. Okay, change my color. So that would be negative 8 over 5 times 25 over negative 8 equals 5. Simplify before multiply, that's just 1 and 1, and this is 1, and this turns to 5, so that's 1 times 5 over 1, so 5 equals 5, that's correct, and so we got B is correct. Okay, same thing with this one. So multiply by 8/3, multiply by 8/3. Crosses out, we have our h left. H equals negative 9 times 8 gives me negative 72, and then divided by 3 will give me, let's think it's going to give me negative 24. Okay, and we're going to check and see if we got it right. Erase this. Okay, grab a pen. Okay, so 3 over 8 times negative 24 equals negative 9. So 3 times negative 24 gives me a negative 72 over 8 equals negative 9. So clearly negative 9 equals negative 9, and that is right. Okay, and that's all the slides we have today, so I'll see you tomorrow in class. Good work, and I already said I'll see you tomorrow, but more the merrier. I'll see you tomorrow.